Hello, and welcome to the third week of the Styles Manufacturing Solutions series. I'm Thomas Allett, and I'll be your host for this episode. Last week, we went on a journey through a wide variety of digital solutions that Styles proudly offers. We learned that it's easy to better connect your office, your production, your people, and your customers. This week, we turn our spotlight to CNC solutions, computer numerical control, how Styles is leveraging new technology and new partnerships to better serve you. To help us discuss these new developments, I'm happy to introduce Andy Fox, Senior Product Administrator for the CNC Group. Andy, welcome.
Glad to be here.
Andy, can you tell us what's been going on in the world of CNC?
Absolutely. There's a ton brewing here at Styles Machinery. Let's start talking about high volume nesting and 5-axis technology. Here to kick us off is James Swanson in our Grand Rapids showroom.
So, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Styles Machinery East showroom, where we'll focus our attention this morning on this N600 flat table 5-axis automated CNC machining center here. So the goal of what we're going to do here with you today within this portion of the Manufacturing Solutions series is focus a little bit on what's new with HOMAG and Styles CNC. Not only what's new, but also a focus on what's different and, of course, what benefit or what does it mean for you. So this particular machine here, if we start talking about flat table CNC with 5-axis technology, I would say it's been a little bit of an outlier technology in the market for many years. As manufacturers of the equipment, we've been trying to, kind of struggling to find, is there really a market for it? Does it matter? And, for many, many years, the answer was no. And over the past 3, maybe 4 or 5 years, there is a market segment that has emerged within nesting that kind of leads us into, hey, a portion of my business is traditional nesting. I need volume, I need cleanliness, and 80% of my day is that high volume nested approach. But the other 20% of my day is, let's say, architectural millwork or door detailing, or things where that 5-axis technology really does bring some benefit. And we're starting to see that kind of take a foothold in the market, and customers look for, right, high-speed nesting with the ability to use some of that intricate 5-axis type work or detail work without aggregates. And that's what we're seeing here with this machine. So 5-axis technology, and if we kind of pan over off to the left side, when we say, what is a nested machine with automation, right? The goal of automation on a nesting machine is to, in effect, get the finished parts out on an outfeed table like we see here off to my left and your right. The parts are ejected from the machine automatically. And while that work is being done on the outfeed table, the unloading, the sorting, the dust collection, potentially labeling parts, the machine receives the next sheet and is back in the cut. Right, so your operator becomes a parts catcher, not so much a loader of the machine, and unloading of parts and carting while the machine sit idle but not broken, right? So on the other side of that, when we're dealing with the flat table machine and we're wanting to do some 5-axis, if you walk down this way with me a little bit, it's, okay, so how do I work the machine when I'm not working with full sheets, right? And there are some technologies in this machine that help us do that. If we kind of can zoom in on the machine screen here, you have the ability to work this machine with pods. You also have the ability to fix your parts on the spoil board. So what you see there is a 24-zone matrix table. And the program that we just ran is a 4x8 sheet. Those 3, 6, 9, 12 zones were automatically opened by the machine control. So all of our vacuum is concentrated to a 4-foot by 8-foot sheet. Let's say, for example, the next part is solid wood clock face or something of that manner. Small vacuum zone, we would call that program up. We could reference to, let's say, the front left corner of the machine, and only vacuum zone number 1 will open up, allowing all of that vacuum to concentrate to that one zone. So if you kind of look at this technology as a blend between, all of the technology that's taken place with automated or through feed nesting, right? This machine can also be equipped with a scissor lift on the front end to automatically load sheets 1 by 1 or 2 by 2 through the machine. And also pairing that technology with fixture-free type automation to allow the machine to hold smaller parts on the spoil board without requiring, minutes or even 20 or 30 minutes per setup for fixturing parts on the machine. So what do I want you to take away with this? It is possible, right? High volume through feed type nesting, as well as 5-axis detail type solid woodwork. In this N600 machine here is set up for that 80-20 rule, 80% high volume nesting, 20% 5-axis detail work.
The demand for high-speed, high-volume nesting and 5-axis technology is growing. The N600 meets those needs. What about traditional machining centers? Are we still innovating on those platforms? Let's go back to James Swanson in the other Grand Rapids showroom.
Okay, so thanks for traveling with me across the parking lot of the Stiles Machinery campus to our West showroom. We're going to use a little bit of creativity here. We're standing in front of Centitech P110 machine, and I want to talk a little bit about, or further talk about, the 80-20 strategy that we talked about across the street with the N600 flat table 5-axis machine, right? So we mentioned that machine was set up for 80% nesting with automation and 20% of some of the detail 5-axis type work we see here. The machine behind us, this is where I need you to be a little bit creative with me. Although this is set up as a pod and rail machine in our showroom, this can also be built or configured with an aluminum matrix table, where we can now put machines into the 20-80 flat table, right, strategy, which would be 20% nesting, meaning I want to do, right, a spoil board on the matrix table 20% of the time, and I want to do things like, right, raised panel door, solid wood entry parts. A few other examples of some solid wood parts here. We get into corbels and radius handrail work, which we're doing on 5-axis machines, and kind of give you an explanation of why do we have two platforms, right? 80-20 nesting with automation and 5-axis as a supplement to the machine. And then if we continue to use creativity here and look at, right, matrix table on a machine like this, right, 80% 5-axis work, and then the nesting is kind of an ancillary, hey, bonus type strategy, right? So that's a little bit of kind of how we round out that 5-axis offering on the flat table. And let's move into what we really are standing in front of here. So this is a pod-based machine, pod and rail. So parts, whether it's some of that 5-axis solid woodwork, are coming pre-sized, or at least the large square is cut down to a smaller square, then fixtured to the machine and shaped, drilled vertically, drilled horizontally, pocketed for doing door work, right? That mortise, lock mortise type work, all happens here on a machine like this. In terms of 5-axis, it's kind of what is sexy in the marketplace today, right? But if you look at a machine like this, available in a 3-axis type configuration and a 4-axis with the C-axis and aggregates to do some of that work. But we don't want to forget, right, about our traditional cut band bore market, which a machining center like this has been the gold standard for many, many years. So you're looking at a side panel here, right? 8mm construction holes, 32mm adjustable shelf, plus a back groove. That process can happen on a machine like this, where we're working on this side of the table, right? Pendulum processing, while the other side is being unloaded and loaded for the next panel. So you're working in that pendulum priority, and the machine is constantly in the cut, right? This technology is not new, of course. It's been around for a very long time. As I said, it's the gold standard for machining in our industry. But David, if you'll kind of zoom in here, we are doing some unique things. Again, when we talked about some of the machines earlier, how do we make the interaction with the operator more effective and more efficient and faster when he's not cutting parts? And if you kind of see here, this is set up with an LED system where it tells you, right, where that pod goes on the rail. The blinking LED in the center is the center of the pod, right? And by the width of the LED, it provides you the width of the pod. So the operator is thinking very little. And stay here for a second. I'm going to go grab something different. Now I'll come back to you here with a narrower pod. And if we look at the width of this pod compared to what we have on it. And if I were the operator and did here, right, the width of my pod is significantly smaller than the width of the LED, I would know I have the wrong pod there, right? So less thinking on the operator's part, more throughput on the machine's part at the end of the day. So we're focused right now on a 110 series machine. New to us this year, within both the pod and rail and the aluminum matrix table machine, is the 210 series. So that brings in a little bit higher Z, a little bit more processing width in the Y-axis. It also brings in on the 200 series machine, if we're on the pod and rail platform, that market-priced auto pod. So not only are we equipping the pods and rails with LED, right, to know which size pod goes where, on that 200 series auto pod machine, the pods and rails then automatically set themselves up, further decreasing the amount of thinking and work on the operator's part. So if we kind of close this segment here in terms of, 80% nesting, 20% other, or not really speaking correctly here, 80% machining, 20% other, we can fulfill that need both on a 100 or a 200 series Centitech P series machine with the matrix table, or pod and rail with LED setup assist on the 100 series and automatic pod and rail placement on the 200 series machine.
Again, James highlights great flexibility and time-saving features like LED lights and autopods. Let's take it to John Ridgway at our High Point, North Carolina showroom to take it to the next level.
Hey folks, my name is John Ridgway and welcome to the Styles High Point, North Carolina facility. Over the next 20 minutes or so, I'm going to provide you with an overview of one of the newest and frankly coolest machines in the HOMAG lineup, which certainly has our team here buzzing. But before I do that, on behalf of all of my colleagues here in High Point, I want to say that we very much miss not having you join us here in person. This is one of the times a year where we would normally have many of you from all over North America standing on the elevated platforms to my right or around this facility, while our team explains and demonstrates the latest trends and solutions available at our renowned Manufacturing Solutions seminar. Sadly, for obvious reasons, you all can't be with me here today. However, be assured there will be a time when we can once again welcome you back to this fantastic facility, and we can't wait. So with that, let me show you what all the excitement is about. So, this is the new HOMAG E310 CNC Processing Center. What does 310 mean? Well, let's think of it in the context of perhaps something you understand easier, like pickup trucks, right? So Ford, for example, they have the Ford Ranger, the F-150, 250s, 350, and so on. Different trucks designed for different purposes. Similar to what we have. We have the 110 series machining center, processing center, the 210 series, the 310 series, the 5 and the 6. Different machines, different features, different duty cycles. That's what we have here, 310. A processing center basically refers to the fact that we have a rail and pod table on the machine versus a flat matrix. The flat matrix would make it a CNC router, really. The 310 series is available in a 4-axis or 5-axis configuration, and it's available on 3 different lengths: a 3.3 meter, the 4.2 meter, which is the one we have behind me, and a 6 meter. And as far as overall width, working width front to back, it's available in 2 sizes: a 1.6 meter, which is what this is, and a 1.9 meter. So they're the basics. Now let's start to really drill down on what makes this thing really special. So the E310 has many cool features. 3 really cool features that we're going to discuss here today are the Drive 5 C+ 5-axis unit, the new contour edge banding unit from the HOMAG group called the Power Edge Pro Duo, and the very latest version of their automatic positioning system called the A-Flex table. A lot of features, let's get to it. So one of the most important things in any CNC machine is safety, and this machine really does some really cool safety features we're going to discuss. As you notice, there are no safety mats in this machine, so I'm actually standing in an area which is being monitored by this device you see down here. That's called the Safe Scan monitoring system. What it allows it to do is the machine can operate in a pendulum process motion while the operator stands here, and that system is scanning the area the entire time and knows where the operator stands, which allows the machine to also wrap it in a higher rate. Otherwise it would be in a much slower rate. Safe Scan makes a huge difference to the overall productivity of the machine. In addition to that, we have safety fencing around the back and access doors on the rear corner to allow safe access to the machine to maintain it by the operator. There's also a great many operator assist tools with the machine, and we're going to talk just about a few of them here in this session. One of the biggest and my favorite is the tool pickup and drop-off station, which is right here. We know from our history that one of the biggest reasons and causes for crashes, collisions, incidents with the machine is when an operator makes a mistake. Hey, we're all human, we all make mistakes. Well, this device basically helps eliminate that being an issue, because what it does is when the operator needs to change a tool out of the machine goes and takes the tool that wants to be changed out of the machine's tool changer and drops it off right here. The operator would then go and take the tool, change out the cutting tool, and put it back in this station when it's done. The machine would then come over, grab that tool, do an automatic touch off for length verification, and then put it back in the right spot in the tool changer. By having the machine manage where that tool goes, you eliminate those potential crashes by having tools manually put in the wrong place on the tool changer. Also, you notice too on the machine behind me, there are no foot pedals on the machine. We actually have a vacuum actuated bar here. What this does, this allows the operator to focus to be on load in the machine no matter what size of product they're working with, without having to look where the foot pedal is on the floor. It's a very ergonomic feature. This machine also has a convenience package on it, where there are buttons on the front of the machine's enclosure, where the operator can physically drag and jog the machine left to right out of the way. They can pause the machine during the process, and they can also raise and lower the dust hood to see what's going on. And you'll also notice too that the start-stop buttons for each zone are ergonomically placed at the end of the extrusion for the end reference. That way we don't have to walk back to the machine's controller or a central pedestal to activate the cycles. So this is the HOMAG System Tool Changer as it's known. It's a new innovation for the HOMAG group, and what makes this so different is the carousel tool changer, which I'm sure you've seen before. But one of the biggest things with a carousel tool changer is when you fill the outer ring, you lose capacity. So what HOMAG did is they come up with this really unique new design. You have 24 positions on the outside of the carousel, and then you have an additional 8 positions inside the inner ring for smaller tools. So you gain capacity, which would otherwise be wasted space. So this total tool change capacity is 32 back here. Now this particular machine also has a linear tool changer on the end with 8. And you can also have as an option a secondary 10 position tool changer that goes by the spindle. So the total capacity on this machine will be 50 tool positions. But this system tool changer is really cool because you can see that we have the aggregates around the outside ring, and the unique orientation of the HOMAG tool change disc itself allows the aggregates to take the minimal amount of space so you can still utilize the positions next to the aggregates. Really, really cool technology. Okay, so on our E310 we have a really cool feature to tell you about today. This is the Power Edge Pro Duo, and the Pro Duo is HOMAG's new contour edge processing unit. The Duo signifies that we have traditional hot melt EVA in this case and HOMAG's AirTech technology all in one unit. You could also do PUR. We'd have a secondary application unit which you'd pre-fill and then preheat outside the machine, and then you store it outside the machine if you needed to do that as well. But it is capable of PUR. The benefit obviously to this now is we can do so many different types of edging, so many different applications that perhaps we couldn't do with EVA hot melt alone. We have easy access now to the hot melt granular container, which is here at the front. If I wanted to change out from one color to another, I can just simply remove this or refill from the top if it starts to get low. Other cool features of the Power Edge Pro Duo. When you contour or edge banding a part, at certain parts along that contour, you need to apply different amounts of pressure depending on the radius that we're doing. On the previous Power Edge version, that was controlled by air, compressed air. This new Power Edge, what it does is the pressure along the contour is controlled by the woodwork program itself. So we can define different pressures on different segments of the contour, which is really, really cool. Now, of course, we can also feed strips into this magazine, and this particular magazine is equipped with 2 coil change-out systems here. You can see them inside the main machine enclosure. I like that system a lot because I can have additional trays set out of the machine with my most popular edge band coils preset, and basically hot swap those back in there if and when I change over. I don't have to mess around with trying to change out the coil on the plate inside the machine. The machine also allows you to keep track of all the parameters specific to the banding that's being applied in the controller. So if I have a different glue temperature for a different type of edge band, right? Or if I have different types of parameters for the edge band, that flexible edge sequence control software allows me to track that and apply it when I'm using the edge band during the process. The machine also keeps track of the amount of linear footage of tape that's on the roll or the coil. That way you prevent having to have a situation occur where you're edge banding a part and you run out of tape midstream. This way the machine knows how much is left on the coil and will warn the operator before it tries to process that part that you're going to run out of tape on that coil. This thing is really state-of-the-art technology. It really is cool. So to continue on with our tour of the features of this new E310, I'm going to tell you now about the new HOMAG A-Flex auto positioning table. This machine is equipped with 8 consoles based on the machine length. So the automatic positioning is going to position the consoles in the X-axis and also going to position the pods along the rail. And that's not so much new. Where the new technology comes in with this A-Flex is previously on an automatic positioning table, you'll be limited by how many pods you could put per rail. Sometimes it will be 3, sometimes it will be 4, depending on the configuration. Because this system does not use carriers on the rail anymore, you don't have that limitation. So you don't have that limitation as to how many parts you could put on the rail anymore. So for this new A-Flex table, you can put up to 6 pods automatically positioned on the rail, and, which is really cool, you can use combinations of automatic positioning parts and manual parts as well. So it's so flexible because it automatic positions, also allows you to use traditional 100mm high K-style clamps on the table as well. What's also cool is as the positioning system positions the parts along the rail, it'll clean the top surface of the K-table itself. So if there's any dust or debris on there, it'll clean it as it's moving those parts along. Again, you choose the combination you want that works best for you. As it's flexible, you also have the LED assist system on the side of the rails as well. That allows you to utilize the machine as a manual positioning table if you want to do that as well. And you could also use high and low pressure auxiliary clamping systems for solid wood processing on the same table. So it truly is flexible. Machine's also got HPL lifting rails which aid with the loading and removal of parts on the machine. And most importantly, it's fully dynamic processing capable. And what I mean by dynamic processing is on a machining center, historically, you can have a set dimension, a maximum dimension you can machine on one side and the other before the machine becomes a single one big zone. Dynamic, as you probably guessed from the term, means that the machine is flexible. It's not defined anymore. So I can do a small part here and a really long part on the other side, and the machine will still be able to pinch and process. Ultimate flexibility of this new A-Flex table. Okay, so to wrap all the technology up on this new E310, we can't forget the new PowerTouch PC87 controller on this machine. Has a 24-inch full high-definition multi-touch display running Windows 10. Everything on this controller is driven around touch gestures. The menus are all driven and sized appropriately for fingers, so I can just drag and drop directly onto the machine. There's a distinct absence of buttons. It makes it easy for someone to walk up to and use a machine like this. And it's common platform with the power touch between all the HOMAG group machines. This uses also the woodwork programming system, which is common across all of our CNC programs, and it's backward compatible. So if you have programs from older machines, you can bring them forward to today's version of software without issues. There's also onboard maintenance on this using the MMR system, which will track the machine's usage and prompt the operator when certain parts of the machine need to be maintained. It'll prompt the operator when maintenance is required, and if the operator is unsure what to be maintained, there's a manual for the individual maintenance features built into the machine controller. Really, really cool. What about when an error occurs? Hey, we all make mistakes. Machine can show you an error, right? How do we diagnose that? Well, in the old days, we used to have an error code and an error description, and you go looking for those machine manuals that were delivered with the machine when new, and most of the time you couldn't find those manuals. So now all that information is stored on the machine controller itself. You can actually drill down to the individual information on the machine, and it shows you where the issue is, whether it's with a proximity sensor, a valve, for example. Really, really cool technology. It's fully Tapio ready as well. Tapio being the common eco-structure of the woodworking industry. This just plugs into Tapio, and now you can have instant data about the machine's productivity on your mobile device. If you want to job cost a part before it even gets produced, you can use WoodMotion. WoodMotion is a virtual kernel type of software which looks at the individual machine itself and calculates machine motion, tool change time and everything, and gives you a very, very accurate cycle time before you even machine a part. And because we have so much technology on this new E310, 5-axis, the contour edge bander, the A-flex table, there's a software called collision control, and that will actually allow the operator or the programmer to run that virtual program before you actually cut a part, to make sure you're not going to collide with any type of clamps or fixtures on the machine. This really is state-of-the-art technology. So I've told you a lot about the E310. Now let's watch a little bit of a video footage of the machine in action. So that concludes my tour of the E310. Hopefully that gave you some good information about what's new about this machine. And we're really excited about having this here in High Point. And we're really excited about welcoming you back here in the not too distant future to see it yourself. From me here, John Ridgway in High Point, have yourself a good rest of the day.
We're starting to see a theme here. Flexibility as value. Let's go to Dave McFarland at our Homemade Machinery North America facility here in Grand Rapids, Michigan, to learn about something totally new.
Good morning from Homemade Machinery North America, Grand Rapids, Michigan, our CNC manufacturing facility here, 100,000 square feet under roof. We're going to get a little tour here with myself and James Swanson. So James, take us on through. Show us what we're gonna see today.
Come on in.
On site here with engineering and production management at Homemade Machinery North America, right down the street from Styles Machinery, our full partnership between Styles and Homemade Machinery as we enter into the manufacturing hall here. So with 10 years of CNC manufacturing experience under our belt here at Homemade Machinery North America, we have the opportunity to add some additional products. And one of the things that we're excited about is our T300 twin table. We're going to drop into this cell and talk a little bit about some of the specifics about T300, the different platforms that we're building on, and the different configurations that we're bringing to the market. And we'll just step in here for a little bit of focus on what's happening. We're here in the T300 production cell. This is one of our larger machines here, but let me tell you a little bit about how we came to have this machine in the Homemade Machinery North America lineup. We talked a lot about high volume nesting, high velocity nesting that James touched on. One of the things that we recognized in this market as well was that high production multi-spindle is still a requirement in North America. Old machines in the system, 4-head, 6-head, 8-head machines, limited tool changing capacity, a thing of the past. But with the volume requirements that are still here, we had the chance to re-engineer, redevelop, and reintroduce this type of machine for North American production. This machine on the T300 platform, twin table, multi-head production, 3, 4, and 5-axis capabilities as you see here. Onboard tool changing for flexibility, flexible manufacturing and production capabilities from a fixturing standpoint. This platform was completely developed here at Homemade Machinery North America together with our German engineering partners, fully leveraging everything that we're doing here at Homemade Machinery, taking into account all of the technologies that are part of the Homemade group, including the advanced safety systems that we see traditionally on Homemade group machines, not only leveraging the mechanical platforms, but also the software environment with woodwop and user interfaces that are standard across the entire machine line. From the simplest machines to the most complex, everything we're doing here at Homemade Machinery North America is with exacting standards and advanced technologies. As a Built for North America program, T300 allowed us to fully leverage our engineering and design to create a purpose-built platform. Okay guys, so before we transition out of this area, let's shoot it over to one of our customers who's running a T300 twin 6-foot by 5-foot table machine in production doing component manufacturing.
Twin tables are double the fun, but the factory's working on more. James, what's going on over there?
As we transition away from the T300 technology, we're going to stay consistent with the theme of today's event: what's new, what's different, and why it matters with today's Homemade and Styles CNC technology. There are a few technologies we're going to show you here in the factory, but since we're in the building, why don't I give you a quick tour? Follow me. So we're actually walking towards the front of the building at the moment. We're going to take a looping left-hand turn here, and off to our right will be packaging and shipping. And we'll make a quick pause here. What we're going to do now is we're going to tour the factory backwards, in essence. And what you see down here, this is the Centitech line, where the flagship N300 offering is built, as well as its bigger brother, the N500 machine. Let's keep moving on. So off to our right, N300 5x12 machine with a push-off system that was just packed this morning, will be shipped out tomorrow. So technologies in a manufacturing facility, not just what you build, but how you build it logistically. How do you track and how do you manage your quality through the factory? David, if you take a quick skew up there to the digital dashboard, each of our build stations has a digital queue noting what's going well, what's going great, and where we need assistance from either engineering, logistics, or production supervisory. Continuing our walk forward, next machine finished, queued for packing. That machine is an N500 5x12 Concept 2, so a through feed router. And then we'll just kind of rattle off a little bit what's going on. N300 5x10 standard machine. N500 5x10 with an outfeed automation solution. So let's pause here if you don't mind. What you see here is we're often looking in the market with HOMAG Machinery North America or our US-based manufacturing initiative to in essence serve our customers by bringing that style safety net into market segments that we previously were ineffective or were not able to participate in at all. This machine is one of those. We're able to leverage our US-based manufacturing facility and enter a market space for which we call abrasive materials. That could be, 100% Corian operation. It could be glass mat G10. It could be some different variations of aluminum that are dry cut and or some thermoplastics, right? So follow me around here. Talk a little bit about abrasives, materials protection, and what machines are required to be built like to handle materials or substrates that are create an abrasive and invasive chip. So here, again, we say not mind-blowing technology, but important to understand if you're looking to sell machines and or participate in the manufacturing of abrasive materials. So pressurized oil management. So when we say invasive and abrasive materials, those small particulates enter the bearings of the machine, right? They enter the shoes. The particle is so small that we can't prevent it from entering. So we pressurize them and we flush them out to increase the longevity and effectiveness of the linear motion package on the machine. So we talk about how do we leverage our US-based manufacturing footprint to bring that style safety net to another group of customers in the market, and abrasive materials protection on our N500 series machine is one of those solutions. So as we continue forward, pre-assembly, right? So we talk about not just what we build, but how we build it. The station off to my right is our pre-assembly station for the gantry components for N300 and N500. So what's the importance of a gantry? Well, it's the backbone of the machine. It carries your router spindle, it carries your drill spindle, and it does all of the work. So one of our manufacturing strategies here is to pre-build that component, pre-wire it, so that when it's time to bring it to the production line and add it to the machine, it slides on, we wire it in, and it's ready to go. It's pre-tested, and the time that we spend at that particular tack station is very, very small. So pre-assembly isn't just something as important as the gantry. Pre-assembly of reference pins, pre-assembly of fence actuators, as we see here with Kanban, right? So oftentimes when we tour the factory, we're asked which manufacturing strategy is prevalent in your manufacturing, right? Is it lean manufacturing? Is it Six Sigma? Is it Lean Six? Is it the TPS, the Toyota Group Production System? And for us, The answer is often yes, right? Manufacturing here in the US with the type of product that we manufacture, we pull components from each of those, right, that best suit the product that we build and the type of worker that we build it with. So we're doing a little bit of all of that. You'll see some stuff here in our signs: gantry assembly, supermarket assembly, which comes from the TPS. And we're constantly looking to increase and evolve our manufacturing strategy to become that 1% better today than we were yesterday. If you continue to follow me through, since we are going backwards in this tour, we'll take a pause here at our first 3 stations. This is where the frame enters the manufacturing line. So these first 3 sections are what we call moving assembly. Each of these frames will move up the line on those red casters there down on the ground through each of their build stations. Once we get past these first 3, we go into what we call box style assembly, where people and parts and pieces come to the box and we assemble the rest of the machine from that position in the production line. So what are we seeing here? Off to my right, that's a frame for an N500 5x10 machine. The machine in the middle here, N300 5x10. And the first machine coming into the production line over here is also an N500 5x10 machine. Good, let's continue on with the tour. So now we're coming up towards the back side of the factory. We're gonna loop around. And if we had a bird's eye, if we had a drone, or if we were riding up on our crane system, you would see that the pre-assembly forms the backbone of our manufacturing facility, right? It feeds the Centitech N300 and N500 line to the left. It feeds the T300 twin table line up towards the front right. And also here on the back side, we have a whole drill and dowel ABD / Centitech Drill Tech construction area on the back side here. But before we make that turn, let's focus our attention to the rearmost portion of the factory here. This is electrical back panel assembly. So we're building them up. They're engineered. We build them up soup to nuts here with our own people. We cross-check, we cross-reference. We build them into the electrical cabinet, and then that enters the line at the point where electrical and gantry come into the production line. So let's take a pause from our tour. I want to take us into the backside of the factory here when we continue to talk about what's new, what's different, and why does it matter. I want to show you another market segment that we're now able to bring that Stiles safety net into by way of this US factory here. Follow me. Okay, so follow me back and I'll show you our newest technology. So what you're seeing here, warehouse, shipping, and receiving in the back half of the factory, or the back quarter of the factory, I guess I would say. And what you see here is the next iteration of bringing that safety blanket of Stiles and Homag into the North American CNC market. So there's a board that's gaining popularity. I call it Euro board, typically 7 foot wide, 9 foot or 10 foot in length. Typically kind of founded around or based upon that deeply textured melamine that's coming in from Europe, right? So again, I'm very open here with Homag Machinery North America. We have plenty of strengths, but there are some weaknesses also, right? And this 7 foot platform had been a challenge for us to import from Europe, right? So what we were able to do is take the European design, the German design, put it through our R&D department here at Homag Machinery North America, Americanize that frame design. So, you know, moving from metric steel to inch so that it's easier for us to build here. And what is behind me are the first 2 7 foot by 10 foot N500. We'll call them Euro board nesting machines that we'll build here later this month. So again, taking a market segment that is growing in popularity, it's growing in volume, and then parlaying that into a HOMAG product, right, to make the effort to better serve our customers through US-based manufacturing. This is kind of a cool frame. I don't want to spend too much time on the technical here, but we laugh, right? It kind of feels like a soccer field or a football field. The working field is so vast that it does make it difficult to move vacuum from what is typically a center plenum on the machine and maintain pressure on the edges. So here we went to a dual plenum design, so vacuum pressure through these channels down the machine, matrix table cassettes on top, secondary plenum distributes vacuum to the edges or the outer extremities of the matrix table, giving us a nice platform to have similar pressure at the center of the table as it relates to vacuum as we do on the edges. And you guys know that are working with this deeply textured melamine material, the more volume that we can provide to the machine in terms of vacuum and the higher pressure that we can maintain throughout the nesting process, the better we fixture your parts. And of course, right, the better your finished product quality at the end of the day. Okay, so coming out of the N500 710 Euroboard machine, let's now take our tour. And now we're actually going up line again. And let's spend a little bit of time at our Drill Tech horizontal bore and dowel insertion assembly area. So here we are in the Drill Tech construction area. So different from the Centitech line where we have 3 moving stations and then box assembly. Right, I'm always one to downplay this particular area, whether I'm right or wrong, but we're basically building machines to drill a hole and stuff around pegging them. But nonetheless, if you are building case goods with dowel construction, if your horizontal bore and dowel machine is not running optimally, neither is your production line. So what we see here, Drill Tech D200 06028, which is a 2.8 meter machine, 10-foot working field, followed by a smaller machine behind it, again D200 12 or 1.2 meter machine, 4-foot working field, and then 2 more 1.2 meter machines behind it, right? So although these machines kind of don't have the same excitement within the production line as the T300 or the Centitech line does, nonetheless, they are super important for our manufacturing strategy here in the United States. The other thing I want to do here is use our standard Drill Tech construction here and kind of piggyback that technology into the D510 machine we have on the floor in the Grand Rapids West showroom. Okay, so bringing in a little bit closer into the Drill Tech construction, I think one of our most important benefits that we bring to the market is the commonality of the software or the ecosystem within everything that we do in the HOMAG group. So David talked about bringing the woodwop ecosystem into the twin table, right? High volume nesting, high volume component market. We do the same on the backside of the production line with the N300 and the N500 running the woodwop software. It's important to know that the Drill Tech series machines are no different. So what we're standing in front of here, this is a power touch control graphic interface, right, for what's happening on the machine table. And that same woodwop file that we create and run on the T300 machine or the N300 or the N500 machine runs here as well, right? So not only are we looking to affect, right, how we build the machine here in the factory, right, pre-assembly and digital dashboards, and then, right, the mechanical assembly and doing that as efficiently as possible. We're looking to bring the same to you with a common software platform, right? So it's easier to cross-train your people between a HOMAG panel saw, a HOMAG Centitech router, potentially a T300 router, and something as basic as a drill and dowel machine. The more cross-trained our people are, the better we can react to the dynamic nature of manufacturing, right? Every day is a new challenge. And if 3 or 4 or 5 of our people are trained to run or do 5 or 6 or 7 processes in the factory, when employee A calls in sick, employee B and C can step in and handle some of that work because they're familiar with the platform of the machine, right? We're bringing you effectiveness, right, that you can't quantify when you make the investment in the machine, because we really don't know what's going to happen every day in your factory. So, all right, as we work our way back up towards the front of the facility and the front door, right, the end of the tour, I think it's important to stop on the backside here. So we're on that pre-assembly fishbone again, on the backside of the gantry assembly that we saw earlier in the tour. So just a quick little review here, right? Gantry assembly, Homag drill block. This is an N500 level machine, so bend spindle and C-axis. And really what I want you to see here in terms of pre-assembly is American factory, but very much has the feel of a European factory. Everything is clean, it's organized, and everything has its place, right? So you'll see here on a tool cart, 5S type strategies. Everything has its place. Everything goes back in its place so that the next time you need it, it's where it should be, right? Economy of scale of hand motion is very big in terms of mechanical assembly, and we prove it here every day. And then things like just simple stuff, pre-assembly carts. Let's make sure what's on the cart is in the place that it needs to be used later in the shift, right? So simple organization, we live by it. If you're not an organized person, you don't survive very long here. If you buy into the system, right? We have fun doing what we do every day, and the goal is to be 1% better today than we were yesterday.
As you can see, we're working hard to bring reliable solutions from our factory floor to your shop floor. We at Stiles are committed to supporting you every step of the way, but we don't do it alone. Let's explore some new and existing partnerships that help us support you better. Dave, please tell us more.
Okay, thanks guys. Let's transition over into another topic now and introduce a new partnership that Stiles Machinery has with Greda. Greda is a solid wood 3D CNC manufacturing specialist focusing primarily on furniture components and furniture elements. The capabilities that Greda brings to the table for us are unique in the fact that they are focused on fixturing, clamping, and programming for 3D. We're going to take a look at the machine that we have on the showroom floor here in Grand Rapids, a new addition to our stable here in the demonstration environment. Again, showing some of the capabilities of Greda with their customization, both from a vacuum table standpoint, mechanical clamping, and full 6-axis control on a 5-axis machining platform. Let's transition from here over into a company tour at Greda to see what they bring to the table. as we transition into this discussion from your standard nested base manufacturing into the topic of high volume, high velocity nested base manufacturing, we've just seen and determined in the marketplace that there is a need for more throughput, multi-spindle processing on a platform similar to what you'd see in traditional nesting, transitioning from single spindle, multi-drill flexibility to multi-spindle, multi-drill production process flow and high velocity. Hayen is a specialist in this type of area as a custom machine tool builder, partner of Stiles since 1987, more than 30 years, in the market of CNC since the late 1960s, a world leader on this platform, developing custom machine tools around the world, more than 1,000 machines installed and running in the North American market alone. Let's take a look at some of the high velocity, multi-spindle, CNC processing, nested base solutions that Hayen has to offer.
We understand that industrial robotics continue to trend within the woodworking industry. Stiles has partnered with our neighbors to the north to bring an effective robotic solution to you. Let's see more.
Are you ready for the next level of CNC machining? The future is here. Industrial robotics. It is no secret the woodworking industry faces workforce challenges. HOMAG has led our industry in solving these challenges with the integration of industrial robotic solutions and has already revolutionized panel dividing. Furthering that commitment to creating effective automation solutions, Stiles Machinery is proud to announce our strategic partnership with Automatech Robotic, designed to blend trusted HOMAG CNC equipment with proven advancements in robotic part handling. It's CNC machining like you've never seen before. Headquartered near Quebec City, Automatech Robotic has spent over a decade perfecting integrated robotic solutions for the woodworking industry. Their goal? Simplify robotics.
We try to simplify robotics so the end user of the system doesn't have to know robotics. Our robots are directly linked to database, directly linked to drawings, and the robot auto-program itself when you need to do a batch size 1 production.
Successful kitchen cabinet, office furniture, flooring, MDF door, and countertop projects have shaped their approach.
We learn how to optimize an equipment. We learn how dust can affect productivity of a robot. We learn the importance of quality control when you integrate different processes together.
Automation is not about eliminating trusted and loyal employees. It is about leveraging your current workforce to reach their full potential, enabling your business's survival through continued market shifts, avoiding controllable downtime, and fueling your competitive advantage. Together, Stiles and Automatech Robotic have developed 4 key solutions that blend CNC and industrial robotic technology to achieve these benefits. The first is the horizontal drill and dowel solution known as ArtBeat. The primary targets: consistency and speed. Using a KUKA robot and an integrated smart table feeding system, this solution can queue and process up to 4 pieces simultaneously. Preloaded programs now automatically drive production to the machine, allowing for flexible and easy doweling of parts as small as a cell phone and as large as full material sheets. In a standard manually operated drill and dowel system, there is an entire process behind what appears to be a simple operation. Functions such as part loading, program loading, part transfers, and waiting for material all happen outside of the machine's control. With an experienced operator, this process can be optimized to roughly a 65% operating efficiency. With the ArtBeat system from Stiles and Automatech Robotic, your doweling solution can run up to 90% efficiency. The second key solution brings the same ArtBeat philosophy to nested-based routers. Both customizable to new equipment and retrofittable to many existing technologies, there is unlimited potential to optimize your nesting operations. Automatic loading and unloading can save you hours in production time, as well as reduce opportunities for human error or injury, all of which translate to a quick return on your investment. These robots are so fast, there may be times when the system is waiting on you or other equipment to catch up. Our third solution, Harmony, can maximize that downtime by seamlessly harmonizing multiple machines in a single automated system. Now, a single robot can load and unload a nested-based router and a horizontal drill and dowel machine, and then transport parts to an outfeed conveyor, passing them along to the next phase of production. Easily integrate CNC equipment with edge banding machines and storage and retrieval systems into a single cell. Software even optimizes manufacturing by sequencing to avoid bottlenecks and increase productivity. Finally, the AutoMan 1 system is designed to handle multiple parts within a single motion. This innovation optimizes large batch processing by loading and unloading through-feed type equipment with minimal movement. AutoMan 1 has the ability to scan, identify, dimension, and analyze parts without error, improving accuracy and production throughput.
So why Styles? We want a well-run and structured company. We really want to increase our reach across North America, and this is what I like about Styles. We want to do the same things, but we know that it takes time. I want to find the right customers that will allow us to bring a long-term solution to the marketplace.
Styles is proud to partner with Automatech Robotic to transform your business through the power of industrial robotic technology.
Before we wrap up today's episode, James, you mentioned the D510 at the factory. Tell me more.
Thanks for following me over to the Grand Rapids West showroom, where we'll focus a little bit on the next technology we want to talk about here. This is the HOMAG DrillTech D510 series. We'll start by saying drill and dowel machine. Those of you that were with us 2 weeks ago when we did the panel processing cell with the focus on more for less automation, this D510 platform definitely subscribes to that theory of more for less. Not only is it a horizontal drill and dowel, also has some increased automation that brings some flexibilities and features to you as the end user. 5 horizontal drill spindles, right, for increased flexibility in drill diameters without setup. 5 vertical drill spindles, same thing, right? If you're doing construction holes in 8mm and you want to load it up with 8s, or you're doing doors and drawers or cam type construction where you may have a 20, a 10mm, a 35mm hinge cup. All of that can happen here on this platform with very little setup. And then we start to see not just speed and flexibility, but truly more operations that you can carry out with the machine like this. The machine is equipped also equipped with a vertical and horizontal router motor, right? It can take a router bit. It can also take a saw blade. So now we start to see on a platform like this, not just drill and dowel type application, but more of a machining center type functionality. If we can talk a little bit about that, there are some construction methods and things that are happening in the marketplace that solutions that are available in the market maybe fall short or take up 3 or 4 times the floor space here. So a few applications that I'd like to talk to you about here. Clamex, some of the Lamello products. You see this little half moon type connector here. Very flexible, very strong joint, but it requires kind of a slot, a tapered slot or a radius slot in the edge of the panel, as well as the surface of the panel to make the 2 joints come together. You're able to do this connection here with the vertical router motor carrying the Lamello blade. Other things that we'll start to see, another Lamello product, Cabineo. If you kind of zoom in on this, we call it the Snowman. Another toolless type connector. This little piece fits in the Snowman that's drilled on a machine like this. It snaps in, and then your mating connection is just a pilot hole, and that is connected. So you're starting to see, and there are many, many applications, not just the Lamello product. And then some other stuff that is pretty unique here, we're starting to see 5-piece melamine door construction become more popular. And it's typical to do this type of groove and blind groove type stuff on a pod and rail machine, right? Makes sense. You have the ability to do it, but your surface area for actually fixturing this part is pretty small. And when we're moving from different rail thicknesses and different rail lengths, you've got to set up your pods and your rails on the machine. And it becomes, in some instances, it takes more time to set up the pods and rails in the fixture than it does to actually machine the parts. So here on a machine like this, 0 setup, the clamps are always fixed, and you're doing grooves, blind grooves, your 8mm construction holes, as well as your dowel insertion on a machine like this. In terms of flexibility, it's not just the product that you can manufacture, but we're also trying to affect the relationship of the operator with the machine in terms of how effective can the operator be working the machine when it's not in the cut, when it's not drilling holes, when it's not routing. You see here, this is a feature called the IntelliGuide system. So what this is detailing for the operator. That's the width of the next part that is to be loaded to that zone. If we contrast it down to the left side here, this is the width of the part to be loaded to this zone. So, right, not only he doesn't only have the direction on the graphical screen, but as he gets up to the machine, right, if I'm trying to load this part to this zone, I get a visual cue that I'm wrong. Climb over my mess here. If I'm visually looking to load this part to this zone, right, I get a visual cue that I'm doing what the machine is expecting me to do. Some other cool stuff happening on this machine, this clamping carriage here, full servo control. So if you're a manufacturer that does half-inch drawer fronts, then you move to 3/4 cabinet sides, and maybe you do 1 inch or 1 1/8 inch countertop or work surface type work. As the incoming program notes the thickness of the incoming part, the machine will cue you to come over here and push this little button. As if the machine was active, it would be flashing. You hold the button down, and the entire clamping carriage comes up to the next elevation. We don't have to move each clamp individually up and down, or left and right for that matter. So in closing here on the D510, the goal is flexibility, right? The goal is to do more on a small footprint platform. And these few here are just a few examples of what you can do. But stay tuned for more from Stiles Machinery and the flexibility of what the DrillTech D510 can bring to you.
That's the Skinny, Thomas. Lots of new technology in the CNC world, and we're here to find the best solutions for our customers.
Thanks, Andy. Lots of new innovation on the equipment side, and I'm happy to report that Stiles University Online is ready and available for your online training needs. Andy, I want to thank you again for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
And thank you for joining us for our third week of the Manufacturing Solutions series. We'd love your feedback, so please complete the survey at the end of this episode that will appear on your screen. If you have any questions for our presenters about the live events or virtual demonstrations going on throughout the week, please visit www.stylesmss.com. And we hope you join us next week as we kick off Surface Technologies Week. We'll see you then.